We want to tell you guys what we loved most about our gardens for the summer season this year. Welcome to the Backyard Gardens Podcast.
To have a good harvest, one must plant good seeds and must also use the right kind of fertilizer. The carrots have grown large and firm. How good they will taste.
Welcome to the Backyard Gardens Podcast, where we talk about all things gardening and give the information out for you to be successful in your garden, whether it's your first or your last. We are your hosts, Ben, the backyard gardener, and
Batavia, the front yard gardener.
one in the country,
One in the city.
Now get ready as we dig deep into this wonderful world of gardening as we learn to grow and grow for change. I think that intro took a lot better than the last one. What do you think?
I agree.
Thank God the new command center crashed on me.
Yeah, I felt more hype about this one.
So, yeah, it's fall. It's cool for some. It's cold for others. Mm-hmm. And our gardens are winding down slowly. I don't know. Is yours winding down slowly?
Slowly, yes. I think that I had a revelation around fall about the fact that fall has arrived. And it's less than fall being here, right? Like I'm okay with, the weather in the opening days of fall and it not being officially summer. I think for me in particular, it's how quickly winter weather arrives. Not winter when it comes to the calendar, but winter weather arrives. I have like 30 days maybe of fall weather, and then it's get your shovel out, your rock salt. So
yeah, it's I don't miss that at all. So I have to make a confession. I'm completely addicted to fart prank videos, the fart spray videos.
I'm gonna hold my nose in my mouth. I don't want to inhale it. Yeah.
You thought that I wasn't going to mention it again since the last one messed up, but I have to because it's the greatest thing ever.
So I mean, there's a whole genre, is what you're telling me.
I don't know, man. It's one of those things for me. Like I spend a lot of time researching stuff, learning stuff, and sometimes I need to turn my brain off. And there's nothing better, particularly than watching the sweetest grandmother in the world ride in a car and smell a putrid smell and totally freak out, and just all the sweetness goes out the window and you see what really people, it's just...
You can see the moment where the limit is reached.
Yes. Yes.
And you're on the other side of that. Yeah. So you're telling me that's the one you sent me. And just so you know, as summer turns to fall, I'm sleeping in a bit. So I think normally, I don't remember you sent it, but I saw it like an hour after you sent it. So you were already up and about your day. And I was just like rolling over. It was the first thing that greeted me in the morning, though. So thank you, I think, for that.
You loved it. You loved it, loved it, loved it. Don't even act like you didn't.
Listen, I watched it and then I'm like, I'm not even going to reply to him because I can't take him talking to me about farts at 7:15 in the morning. Like,
I sent it to you at 5:30 in the morning.
Well, yeah. And so like 5:30 your time, 6:30 mine. I was still asleep, man. I almost feel ashamed saying that.
So everybody, don't you just wish you were my friend so I could send you fart videos?
Did you realize I blocked you on that number? Did you see that?
So I just have to say, I'm a boy and I have a 6-year-old son. These are the things that rule my world right now. So
there was a payoff there. So I was just going to say, I'm with you when it comes to, there's a part of turning your brain off for like serious things and things that are really important. And, I don't think it's fart videos for me, but that did the job coming a Monday morning. So
yeah, it's just anything that kind of, it doesn't teach you anything. You don't have to think about it. It's like, you just don't care. It's just great.
It's one of the best parts of human beings, though.
It is.
A couple that's saying, we're going to fool and disgust our mom, and we're going to capture it on tape. No.
If I did that to my mom, she would kill me, so I'm not. It's not even in the cards.
Yeah, the editing I'd have to do.
That's
the
a
editing
different
I'd
question.
have to do would be, you know.
Yeah. So, housekeeping items, as Batavia would say. Isn't that how you say it?
Yeah.
We are running seed giveaways on our website. So if you come visit us at backyardgardensthemovie.com, we will, once you enter in your email, you will be entered in for every seed giveaway we do, always. And we just sent out our first fall tips, I guess, newsletter, maybe.
Sure.
And yeah. So we're sending them out for every season, and it just kind of gives you a basic guideline of what we do in our gardens throughout each season. And they're kind of designed, there's 4 boxes, and each box is kind of a month with a little bit of bleed over. So, you know, enter your email address and join us. Yeah. And I also forgot our listener question of the week last time.
Oh. Meaning you don't have it ready, or?
I have it now. I didn't.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Hello, this is Molly from Zone 7A in Heflin, Alabama at the foothills of Mount Cheehaw. And I was wondering, how often do you need to water your garden if during the fall time you get quite a bit of rain like we do over here? If it would be more for young plants or for more mature plants. I'm just kind of curious on that part. Thank you.
Boom. So before we answer it, those are coming in on the Backyard Gardens Pod Instagram. If you want to send us a voice message, we'll be happy to answer your question online. We'll give you an answer beforehand, but it's really useful for other people to get the same questions, to hear them. So what do you think, Batavia?
So first, hey, Molly. And were those crickets in the background? Or
of
was
course they are. They're gardeners. What do you expect?
I love it. So this is such a good question, so timely. And it's really at least 2 parts to the answer, because she did touch on in her question a part of the answer, like those things that are young. You know, so perhaps some of the things you're planting for fall. For me, it's on a different watering schedule than things that are still mature. I still have tomato plants. Gosh, I hope that's the truth by the time this airs. I still have tomato plants that are kicking butt, right? You know, so those roots are a bit different, larger, you know, more established than watering the kind of newly started veggies. So I'm going to go with the newly started veggies, the things that are smaller, seedlings. And I'm going to say still stay on the once a week schedule, making sure that you're keeping those damp. And that's probably a minimum. I think I've been out there watering a couple of times a week. Before I go to the larger veggies, be careful around you're getting a lot of rain, right? You know, so it rained for, my mom told me, 6 days straight. About, I don't know, this is early September in Chicago. And I have my little, you know, stick it into the dirt. It measures how much rain you're actually getting. At 6 days, overcast, cloudy, rain, just barely an inch of water. You know, so it felt like it was getting drenched, the garden. But really, it was still just an inch of water.
Hold on, let me stop you there, though. Why you scowl at me when I stopped you?
No, I'm paused. I'm like frozen.
Yeah, you
still.
did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you did only get an inch of rain, but for new seedlings, that's a lot of water.
So new seedlings in a raised bed that is on my concrete, that's not a lot of water because that soil dries up a bit faster.
That's on your concrete.
Yeah. Versus new seedlings that may be in a raised bed that's on top of some soil, or in just a garden that you have that's, you know, growing inside of the native soil. That's not a lot of rain for pots either, for containers, you know. But I haven't since then watered my kind of larger things like my peppers and my tomatoes. I haven't watered those at all. So that said, the larger vegetables, I mean, I'm kind of gauging, like, do I see a little bit of stress here? Because again, it's less sun, which is a part of what she was getting to. It's less heat, you know, at this time of year. So that inch of water, that inch of rain, I'm probably a week and a half, 2 weeks almost. Does that sound right? Yeah, this is probably the second week since that rainfall came. And I was saying to myself, I actually need to put my fingers in the soil to see where I am, but I'll probably water by the end of this week.
Let's get technical real quick. The key is there is not as much evaporation due to heat and sun. Okay? We would be remiss not to say the word evaporation. Can we say evaporation?
I don't think we'd be remiss if we didn't say it, but if you insist on saying
no, it's an important it's an
evaporation. Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, I know. I was watching Sesame Street this morning, so you know. But no, evaporation is a very important word for gardening, especially, if you live in Alabama or somewhere, I'd say 7A and below, or when I say below, I mean south. So 7AB, 8AB, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Evaporation is a real thing for us. So when it's not like, for me, I water, in the summertime, I water 3 days a week. And then now I'm watering 1 day a week. Okay. Because that sun's not as high. The sun is much lower. And then
less intense as well, right?
It's much less intense. And I mean, you're going from 95-degree days down to, 70? That's a big difference. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even sweat hardly. Yeah. Unless you get out there and really get on it. So that's an important aspect to think about. And another reason why evaporation is important is when you talk about watering methods. You know what I mean? So like, if you're watering with an overhead sprinkler, your evaporation is going to be a lot higher than if you're doing a good soaking with like a soaker hose or something like that. So,
and she said 7B? 7A, okay.
Yeah. Which I didn't even know they had 7A down in Alabama. But, it's interesting that my phone would ring in the middle of this with a spam call. My bad, everybody. It's interesting to think about how quickly you cut your watering down in the fall. Yeah. It's like I'm going every day or, 3 days a week. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, I cut down to almost nothing. So, and then you just check your soil, look at it. That's what I told her, just look at your soil, your established plants. Like, it's just like Batavia said, they already know to look for water. They don't need you to coddle them. And so at this point, what I do, because I direct seed in my garden, so like I have carrots growing right now. I have about 400 carrots growing. They actually came up finally. If I watered, if when the temperature changes, the tomatoes are going to go bye-bye much faster. The carrots are going to make it. So which one should I take care of?
You're going to take care of the carrots, but that's just that's how your DNA is set up.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's because I'm going to harvest those much later.
Tomatoes too, but that's another story.
Say what?
That's for your hate for tomatoes too, but that's another story.
Nah, after this year I do hate tomatoes slightly, but we'll get into that. But yeah, so just keep an eye on your soil, your dirt, whatever you want to call it, and maybe if you're interplanting like I am, decide what is more important for you. So, and then just focus on keeping it happy. And you can also spot water too.
Yeah. That's absolutely what I'm doing. So good point around, I asked about 7A or 7B because I was trying to figure out if she's closer to you or to me from a zone perspective. And it sounds like she's smack dab in the middle. But Alabama, I would just think that she's a bit warmer.
My mom is in 7A. And they're not that much different than us.
Okay.
It's like, your winter, it's, I really think, like, I know they designed, and we're going to do this in depth, but they designed the zones by, why are you shaking your head?
We keep on teasing this one, right? And I feel like I started to get like.
It's on the schedule now.
Yeah. I started to get like, damn them, every time we start tipping
every time.
It. Yeah.
But it goes by your minimum temperature, not how fast you get that minimum temperature. So, and I actually, to be honest, it's probably different everywhere. Like you could be an 8A, but you could go from summer to winter as long as your temperature didn't get cold enough.
That's so critical. And if you followed what he was saying, then virtual high fives. If you didn't, we're going to leave you hanging because we're going to dig in deep on that episode in the future. Because that was one of the first.
I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on and I'm going to rant for probably the whole time. Batavia's just going to sit there quiet and y'all can listen to me rant.
Well, no. So that was probably one of the first things that we learned about our individual gardens, you and I did, when it came to, frost dates and how close we were scheduled, but how different our weather was. So just to clarify, Ben is an 8A. You were watering at the heat of the summer 3 times a week. I'm in 6A. And I was watering probably once a week, at the hottest, maybe twice. And I was basically watering my entire garden. Containers, I was watering more frequently. But for like all of my raised beds, all 999 of them, I was watering about once a week. And so now I'm kind of cutting that in half. Now it's something like twice a week for once every 2 weeks for established plants. Yeah. But again, it's the gauge. I'll, like you said, spot water. My
main focus is my seeds right now. So that's, I'm going to be getting, hopefully, Brussels sprouts way longer and way more than I will be my tomatoes at this point. Your
established plants will tell you what they need, so I think we're okay there.
Which, by the way, I changed my, I have 1 tomato plant left.
Oh, you didn't pull all of them?
No, I left 1 just for good measure.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm okay with that. So, I'm sure Kelly's happy about that too.
Nah, she don't care.
You were just talking about how she wanted fresh tomatoes and how you just can't be out here canning everything.
No. So, thank you for your question. What do you like about your garden this year?
Well, given that you reject it, if you watch basketball, you slapped that ball out of my hands when we answered this question in the first take. I'm going to go to my closing item, and I'm going to be really sentimental and, all gushy and say, the garden friends. In all seriousness, my garden has expanded and I'm trying so many different things now. And so it's a sight to see, right? In person. And I've shared some pretty cool things online as well. So from the people that have stopped by my garden, in front of my home, the front yard garden, and for the people online, the garden friends have led me to learning some things about some of the things I've been growing this summer. So that's probably my favorite thing about summer gardening this year.
Right. So my favorite, I don't know what, I don't really want to say favorite. I want to say what made me happy. My butternut squash made me pretty damn happy this year.
Okay, yeah.
22 and counting, I think, is the official number.
I'm still hopeful for my butternut squash. I'm monitoring it. I have butternut squash and spaghetti squash. Sneak peek on lessons learned. I planted 2 of them one of each in the same spot, crowded them. And they are the question is, will I be able to let them ripen before the frost? Or will powdery mildew kill them all off? It's infested the plant. Both of those plants are just, I would never leave the plant in my yard like that. Only because it has, these huge squash on it. So we'll see. Yeah.
That was only off 1 plant for me. So, but, and obviously my newfound love for carrots is pretty amazing. I did pretty well with those. I did have issues in the heat and overcrowding issues going off of the square foot gardening plan.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, again,
but
I got the finger.
But back
not
to
the middle one.
Yeah, back to index finger, people. The first part of this episode will be rated G. But back to the butternut squash, I think one of the things that's so great about that for you is that was kind of out where the wild things live, right?
Yeah.
And
No. It wasn't even there. It was just like in my yard.
So was it a volunteer?
Oh, it was a volunteer. I don't even know where the hell it came from.
So one, you had a volunteer. Two, there's such beauty in seeing what a single plant can produce. And we're not talking about a tomato plant. Like, yeah, you should get 22 tomatoes off of a tomato plant. No, we're talking about like this sizable fruit and butternut squash, man. And I mean, that's just... And
it was amazing.
In the middle of summer, too, it started producing early and all the way throughout the summer, right?
Yeah, it sure did.
It's impressive.
It's amazing. So,
pulling up my list, my next item.
Yeah, it's on you.
We're changing over from rated G to something else.
Oh, no.
So, watching my melons grow.
You're too old for that, Batavia.
I don't know. I can't help it. In all seriousness, so this is the first time I ever grew any type of melons. And I did the infamous mango melon that doesn't taste like mango. I did 2 different types of cantaloupe. And then I did, I guess, the infamous honeydew melon as well, which I'm still eyeballing to see if it's ripe. But, like, it's that thing about you feeling like you don't have enough space, right? Putting it off, year after year, and then saying, what the heck? There's a chance that this may not produce anything and I kind of wasted this space, or it's a chance that it will. And I mean, outside of needing to kind of slingshot, since I'm growing vertically, I had to, kind of tie up some of the melons to the trellis. Outside of that, it was uber low maintenance. And it produced things that taste so much better than what I would buy in the store. So remember we were talking about a couple of episodes ago about, some things taste the same and, don't get caught up in growing it because it's going to be the best thing you've ever tasted. Like, yeah, these melons are some of the best melons I've ever tasted. So yeah, man, that was, while in some cases I feel like I'm an optimist, in some cases I'm just like tempering my expectations. Melons were one of them. There are a couple of other things I grew this year, which we'll cover off on at some point. But yeah, if I'm not going to choose just one, but melons for sure made me happy throughout this summer.
Yeah, for me, well, first of all, let me tell you about melons. I got tagged on Instagram by, a female gardener, and they were doing this thing, show me your melons. Mm-hmm. And so everybody's showing their melons, and I had to tag a bunch of people. And as I went through, I was like, crap, I got to find a male because I feel really awkward asking females to show me their melons, even though it's like totally like, within the realm of what we're talking about. But it made me very uncomfortable. So, but my melons did not do well.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I need calcium bad in my garden, so I'm off to get a soil test. I just got the envelopes yesterday.
Okay, good.
So,
good.
Yeah.
Just a level set, while the 999 garden beds that I have, some of them are much newer than others. The ones in the backyard are the older ones, so I've been growing in some of them for like all of my garden years. The place where I'm growing the melons and basically everything in the front yard is air quote new dirt, so it's either soil that I ordered, or, like a garden blend, if you will, that I ordered last summer, or it's bagged soil that I either got last summer or this year. So with that in mind, I said that to say, if we trust that the soil had nutrients in it to begin with, I added some compost, bag compost and things. I'm only on year 2 for, these garden beds in the front. So the idea of like depleting my soil, I'm hopefully not there yet. So I'm hoping that has something to do with the success of the melons and some of the other things in the front yard.
Well, mine is virgin soil.
Oh. Wow.
But it's just consistently having the same issue, which, it means that there's not enough calcium in it. And I didn't have it last year, but I didn't have things in it that would have that issue. So
Well, you said virgin soil though, but now you're referencing last year.
Yeah, well, it was the first year I had the garden in there last year, so basically it's virgin soil. Yep. So you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But we'll see what comes back from that. But so my melons did not really make me happy, but and even though I had a lot of issues with my tomatoes, as I go back and look at it, and my harvest was cut short by about a month and a half, I still had a very good year with tomatoes. So, and the thing that made it even better, and this is key for me, is the fact that I canned them the way I did as diced tomatoes. So I have more useful uses out of them. It's like a multi-tool purpose.
Yeah. I have some comments around tomatoes, but I think it's your go.
Is it?
You got anything else that makes you happy?
Anything that makes me happy?
Related to your garden?
Of course I do. Yeah. I got a greenhouse.
Man.
That makes me happy. It's not built yet. It's still in a box.
I feel like, can we both have that one? Your greenhouse has made us both happy this summer.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that.
Of course we can.
I was
go ahead.
I was planting some things. Cleaning up some things this morning, and I was kind of thinking trying to track through. So I've created another garden list as we welcomed fall in. I wanted to try to get my thoughts organized and the things I really want to do versus the things I kind of, have to do. And I started thinking about my process as we go from summer to fall to the really cold months and winter. And then I thought about you and your greenhouse, and I'm just like, yeah, man. Yeah.
So there is a slight issue, but I guess I should give an update because I feel like it's such an important thing in my life. I'm mapping out the sun right now, and it looks to me like I have two options of where to put it that won't cost me a fortune to put it in, and it looks like I'm gonna have issues with the amount of sun that comes in.
Oh, okay.
So that being said, I'm okay with it.
But I mean, you're still talking about some, we're not trying to grow here. In our greenhouse, we're not trying to grow summer-like vegetables, right?
No.
A lot of leafy greens. I know you're going to do some starts in there. I mean, are you talking less than 2 or 3 hours of sun
well, so right now, and the jury's still out because it's been cloudy, so it's kind of hard to get a good gauge on it, and there's leaves on the trees, but it looks like I'm about 4 or 5 hours possibly. But once the leaves fall off the trees, I could get more. Worst case scenario, December and January, which I probably won't do much in it anyways. It just wouldn't be very useful.
Okay. Well,
so,
I mean, everything has the kind of footnote, right?
Yeah.
And we know you're going to get more out of this with the greenhouse than not having it at all. So.
Oh yeah. Well, in anything, I'm imagining what will happen is I will be able to start some plants earlier in the greenhouse and just get a whole crop out of them earlier.
And that's significant from a cost of seed starting perspective. You're not running any lights in there to, start those seedlings. So that's significant.
I'm going to start seedlings in my house still.
I know you are, but we talked about increasing how many seedlings we're both starting. And, you have another space for it now that doesn't need to be, using electricity. So,
yeah. So other than that, though, I got so actually, and it seems kind of weird, but one thing that made me really happy this year was the fact that so far, I mean, in the spring, I almost got a Brussels sprout.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't successfully get Brussels sprouts, I was super close, which is better than the years before. I'm taking that as a win.
Yeah, you know what I mean? For you. So I have one more thing that started off shaky, but in the summer it came through for me. And in part, it really kind of points back to my garden partner here, young Ben.
Young is the key word. Young, very young. Young and strapping.
Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, if we're going to talk about like dreams, sure. Kale, yeah. So if you've listened to me drone on at any point in any episode, I think it's probably natural for me to mention this in every episode. The number of seedlings that I killed for kale, cabbage, and collards throughout the spring. And even I started planting, sowing them indoors and killing them in the summer too. But I finally cracked it, right? I mentioned this on a previous episode that's recently aired, but I finally cracked it. And the reason why it makes me happy is I knew I wasn't going to give up on it, but I kind of in my mind, it said, oh, I'll just figure it out at the top of the year, right? And hopefully I can get veggies into my spring garden. And the reality is that may have looked different, because it took me 2 more times this summer to figure it out. So I think the part there is the encouragement from you was key, because remember, you twisted my arms so I could start seeds indoors during the summer. And then too, just kind of the resilience that I have with not being beat, by these kale seeds. So yeah, I was able to successfully, start seeds indoors for kale in particular, successfully germinated, which was never the problem. They went from the point of like their first leaves to actually true leaves. And I have it planted out in the garden. So that's huge, because that was a significant WTF earlier this spring. And there are a couple of my favorite veggies. And so not being able to figure out what was going wrong, and then actually figuring it out was key. And really, ultimately, the environment was too dry and I wasn't creating a moist enough space
right.
for them. So yeah, I was able to do that with kind of this summer try, which is pretty cool.
So we're having technical difficulties with our video feed. So hang tight, and we are switching in 3, 2, 1. So, okay, we're back, and Batavia muted it. So she's going to have to unmute it so I can hear her. But one of the things that was really successful for me this year, or so far has been successful, is my parsnips. And the parsnips, it's important for us to grow parsnips for the simple fact that we just can't buy them at the store. So when we buy them at the store, or because we can't buy them at the store, growing them allows us to have them. And the benefit of that is Batavia was able to send me some seeds for the parsnips, and having those seeds with the parsnips it was a blessing, because you can't even buy parsnip seeds here. So the fact that Batavia did that was amazing. And now it seems crazy, but we're still like almost 6 weeks out from harvesting our parsnips, and we're waiting for a frost so they can get sweeter. So we might have some like giant parsnips coming in.
They're a really long season veggie too, right?
Yeah, they take like 100 days to grow. So, I don't know, man. I think they take about 100 days, but I know for a fact that they get sweeter when they get cold. Mm-hmm. That's one of those crops that really does get sweeter. Yeah. So it'll be a good thing. So did you have your other app off the whole time I was talking, or was it on?
The other app?
Yeah, that we were using before?
No, it was... Oh, no, I shut all of that off. You hung up from that connection, so we're all good.
Okay.
But I had to sprint downstairs. I had to sprint downstairs to get the headset. And I'm like, gosh, I'm out of shape. Let me control my breathing before I turn this thing back on, which I haven't done yet. So that's what I do to cover off when I'm winded. I cough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So,
but
that's
the parsnips, it's really just, it's it's a game-changing experience to grow something that you literally cannot buy in the store that can be considered a staple for a lot of cooking.
Yeah, I saw when you posted that the other day on Instagram, and you reminded me like wait a minute, like really not in the store? And it's not like it's some specific ethnic food that you could find in some other, grocery market or something. I mean,
dude, parsnips, they're like the whitest food you can get. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know of another ethnic community that really like enjoys parsnips. But if you think about it, like they take so long to grow, and harvesting them in the frost, maybe that's why. But the fact that I couldn't even buy seeds for them was like mind blowing.
Yeah.
So
it's a little weird there, yeah. But then again, the seeds, I'm trying to think about the seeds that I have. And I remember I had to go to like 3 different stores or something to find them. So it wasn't like they were like, falling off of the seed racks in Chicago either.
no.
So yeah. I'm looking forward to them though. When did you plant them again? Was it in June?
It was hot when I planted July.
July. Okay. Yeah.
So they're going to be giant, but they're starting to look, and the problem is we just had a whole bunch of rain come down. Mm-hmm. And with that rain, my zinnias fell over and cracked, and they laid on top of my parsnips for a couple of days. That's why in that photo I posted, they looked a little rough. So yeah, they those dang zinnias, man. I actually have been harvesting zinnia seeds. Yeah. Because it's so easy to do it. I'm not keeping track of which color, because I planted a few different types or any of that. There's this canary zinnia that I grew, and I am going to make sure I label those, because it's big and bold and beautiful. So I do want to make sure I'm conscious on when I'm starting those next spring or next winter, and when I plant those out. But yeah. Is it my go? Yeah, of course it is.
Okay. So my next one is growing in containers. So I've grown in containers before, and we're talking about vegetables, not, just flowers. So I've grown in containers before and had mixed results, but I committed and kind of went all in and said, this is going to be another arm of my vegetable garden this year. And I kind of felt like it opened up some of the opportunities to grow different things for me, right? Mm-hmm. So for the containers, in most cases, 1 container equals 1 plant for me, or at least it did this summer. So I didn't feel like I was like throwing away, garden space or anything like that, right? So I was able to try some things that maybe I wouldn't have tried otherwise. And I've learned quite a few things, some things that I'll be taking into next year's container gardening and all. But yeah, it also allowed me to be a little bit more mobile this summer. I was able to move things around, which you wouldn't normally do with raised garden beds or anything like that. Like wherever they are in most cases. So yeah, I think they literally made me happy, especially now, because I feel like they gave me the best chance at transitioning from summer to fall, because some of the things I planted in those containers truly were summer veggies that, they went their course. I pulled them out and I'm replanting now.
They get spent really fast in containers, don't they?
Yeah, I was looking for that word. That's exactly the word I was looking for, spent. Yeah. It takes a lot.
It's the easy word.
Yeah, it takes a lot depending on the veggie. My peppers are kicking butt. I'm actually going to up my game when it comes to peppers in containers. They didn't require a lot. I actually had them in some of the smallest containers. I'm going to go larger next year with it, but that's another conversation. Some of the other vegetables, though, were more demanding in containers. So there's that. But yeah, man.
It's funny. A lot of the things that you're talking about are the things that I hated this year.
When I said growing in containers, I knew it was going to be like the,
I'm not going to say anything else about it, though. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to keep it positive.
But that's also a good example of how, again, 2 different gardeners, 2 different experiences, Some of it is just our style. Some of it is our growing area. So, yeah, it's not going to be the same for everyone. Yeah.
Everybody's different. And by the way, next year, if Batavia can't find parsnip seeds, I am going to order them from San Diego Seed Company. So they have them.
Did you use
which
all
is a
of
proud
them?
sponsor. No.
Okay.
No. But I'm worried because carrot seeds and onion seeds don't really hold over very well. But this year was a test.
Yeah.
So if it works this year, then I'm gonna go all out and plant like 100, 200 parsnips.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see their shelf life too. You can leave them in the ground.
Well, you leave them in the ground. Yeah. For me, you can. So, and the greenhouse will have parsnips growing in them too, probably.
Yeah. You're going to do... Oh, yeah. I keep on forgetting. In my mind, I keep on transitioning greenhouse to just where you have a tray or a table with stuff. But I keep on forgetting that you literally are going to have garden beds inside of it. So, yeah. That's cool.
I'm not going to do like a lot of people do where they put shelves and put starts in them. I'm going to plant stuff in the ground.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why not?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's... Again, when you talk about we're doing a lot of changes, but still the less work you have, you don't have to worry about transplanting all of the stuff. There are going to be some starts in there, I'm sure, but... Oh,
yeah, there'll be starts in the spring, but it'll fluctuate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So... one of the things that made me really happy this year was my introduction to flowers. So, it made me really happy. Dang it. It made me really happy to have that. And, everybody in their car or running or whatever they're doing right now, they're like, damn it, Batavia, you just blew out my eardrum.
If you know what, for new folks, apologies for folks that have been listening. You had to know that was coming. That actually, the sound of that was my garden heart singing in the highest pitch ever. So
now to be clear, it was not a complete win for me by any stretch of the imagination. It was not a complete win, but what it was is it was successful because I had color to look at. I had flowers to cut for my wife just about every day. I was able to save some seeds. Will they grow? I don't know. But I was definitely able to start the process of carving out areas to do things in my yard. And that made me really happy because it was a progression. It was moving forward instead of being stagnant. You know what I mean?
Womp, 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 womp. It's like the Charlie Brown cartoon. Like after you said flowers made you happy, none of the rest matters for me. Like, I don't need the caveats. I thought you were saying I was being boring. I was screw you. I don't need the caveats. I don't need the, consider that, nope, flowers made you happy. That's what counts. Oh, yeah. That's what gets the bail. One more converted, 390 some million people to go. No, I think there's a lot of people. And I knew that it was a matter of time before I got into them. Yeah. It was just, they're a lot more technical. And so, when we have plans for next year and we can get into that at a later date, but, it was good. I mean, dude, I went on my back porch yesterday. I had 8 butterflies on my back porch. So, they're flying all around me. I got bees everywhere. I'm like, score, success, Yeah. So, I was super pumped about my wildflower garden, but that's okay. It's the beginning, and I have to, remind people that 4 years ago, my house was literally a patch of woods. So the fact that I have anything growing, it, to me, is amazing because you literally went from a completely wooded area to now it's open space and trying to make it more open and get things to grow. So, and my weeds made me happy too. That you didn't have so many?
Oh, no, that I had a whole lot. They just made me happy to see them. I'm glad they showed up this year.
Okay. I mean, yeah. All right. Moving right along. Weird.
Thick with sarcasm there.
Okay. All right. Because I'm just saying. So this is a small one, but it's critical because it does fold into next year's plans as well. Planting a vegetable in my front yard flower bed. So this goes back to an episode that I think we ended up having to pull just based on some technical difficulties. But this was almost a dare, right? So I planted.
It wasn't almost a dare.
It was a demand is what it felt like.
Oh, it was a demand. I demanded that you did it. But hold on. Before we even go any deeper, look at the conversation we're having right now.
About it making me happy.
You can't be quiet that long.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Because, I've already named it as something that made me happy. 2, stop trying to prove to me that, it was worthwhile and it made me happy. You got me, all right? You got me. And 3, so I'm going to be a smart ass here to match your smart assness. If I didn't do that, there would have been 6 other things that made me happy in my garden. So,
Yeah, that is true.
But in all seriousness, I think the theme there is it's sure about the okra plants. And the okra plants really just, I mean, it's so pretty. You know how okra flowers are. It creates some, height. So there's a little bit more dimension there. And it also gives me permission to do something wild and crazy next year when it comes to okra plants. But I think the real part, and this is, I don't know, this is more of a reflection and less about it making me happy. But since I'm here, I'll say it. Just pushing your limit a little bit. Getting outside of your box just a little bit, your being me. So at this point, with having a bit more space, I'm comfortable taking what would be considered risk in my mind, right? When I had a smaller garden, it was like, I can't try that because if these 2 tomato plants don't grow, that's it. I'm done, right? Yeah. But now I got a little bit more room to try some different things. And without that, for me, I wouldn't know that it makes perfect sense to grow okra right here, So
I wish that we could get an okra plant that just made flowers and no okra.
Actually, there's this red okra that I planted.
I knew you were going to have something.
Yeah, well, that's the one I planted in the yard, and I was very intentional because it's kind of a burgundy-ish, like the branches are, and the okra itself is reddish burgundy-ish. And I planted it because it complemented some of the flowers I knew I was growing. And it's not the tastiest of okra. Like, it feels like it gets tough really quickly. And so I said, I'm just treating it as ornamental at this point. So the flowers come, I admire them. I clip the okra. If it's edible, I'll eat it. If not, don't worry about it. I'm pulling the okra off of it to continue to produce flowers. So, bam, man. I stumbled on it.
If you got hungry, you would have okra, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's an important aspect to think about, when it comes down to it. Oh, let's see. For me, I'm into another phase that I get excited about. So, I'm excited that I have turnips growing right now. Because I have tried to grow more different things this year than I have in the past 7 years. So, I'm doing turnips, rutabagas, parsnips, a lot more carrots. What else do I have? That's it right now, I think. Those are the new things that I've got in the ground. And it's very exciting for me. And it makes me happy that, one, I went out and I follow the directions for what my state extension service says. And it was too hot. So nothing really kind of germinated like it was supposed to. And then I paid attention to the weather. And I watched it. And I said, it's going to cool down. And we're going to get rain. And I went out there and I seeded the crap out of stuff and it's all coming up now. So, it makes me happy that, first of all, I practiced what I preached and I went in there and did what I say all the time and I watched the weather. If you go back to our spring and stuff like that when we were talking about it, it's the same thing. I was just waiting for it to cool down because it was just too hot. You couldn't keep the soil moist enough. So that pleases me. And I know it's not really the sexiest thing, but in hindsight, when I think back and look at it, that determination and perseverance to get it because I could have just been like, oh, nothing came up. Oh, well, whatever.
Yeah.
But
And I've done that this season.
Yeah. And I know good and damn well, though, that I've got, my first frost date's November 19th. So I've got another month to go. I got plenty of time for things to get going. And even just because that's a frost date for me, I know that it's not just going to stay below freezing.
Yeah.
I'm not like your area. So, which is no slight to you or, your where you live, but, it's just different.
Oh, have you ever seen that meme from The Simpsons with the grandpa that's basically old man yelling at cloud? And he's pumping his fist in the face. Like, every time we get into this conversation of our frost dates, your air quote winter, that's me. So I'm offended by my weather. So it's okay for you.
I mean, it gets don't fool yourself. I mean, zone 8A means it can get down to 15 or 20 degrees.
Sure.
And every year it does dip down rather low. But there are times where it just, it's not that big a deal. So
I'm elbowing the person that really isn't sitting here saying 15 or 10 degrees. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you need a blanket? Okay.
What does yours get to?
On the coldest, it could be like below 10. But it's that whole wind chilled thing, right? And it only takes 3 or 4 or 5 days for it to stay cold. For even if it heats up on that 6th day, it's still so cold. You know how we've talked about, like, there is the frost, then there's the hard freeze. And for us, once we get into that hard freeze, we're there, baby. Start the countdown to spring, because that's what you're going to be looking forward to. So I have...
What is it for you?
I have...
Give me one.
I really should have let out with this, but,
Damn, you wait until the middle of the podcast to say what you should have let out with?
I can do what I want.
We got to go back to the drawing board.
No. It's going to be worth the wait. In 3, 2, potatoes. Yeah! Short one. That's it. That wasn't as short as I wanted it to be. Again, it's... As we really kind of look back on the year, I'll start to like order these in my head, but because it's my favorite vegetable, like it's in the top, you can only eat these things, potatoes would make the list. Because I have intentionally not even attempted to grow those kinds of things, just thought, oh, not in my area, not for me, not for my garden. And I decided, like, at the end of last year, beginning of this year, like, I'm going to go for it. And I produced tomatoes, man. Like, this is the Tom Hanks.
Potatoes.
Thank you. This is the Tom Hanks, castaway moment of, I made potatoes. Good times.
I don't know about mine yet. I'm harvesting my sweet potatoes this weekend.
I'm going to join you.
You are?
Yeah, I'm going to join you. Well, for one of my bags, I have them in 3 grow bags. Yeah.
Oh. I thought you were literally coming. I was like, no way. We got to get the guest bedroom ready. She's coming. Yeah. She's coming. Which, by the way, I told my wife, my wife told me the other day, she's like, you tell Batavia anytime she wants to come visit, she is more than welcome. Stay as long as she wants. We love Batavia.
So sweet.
You get the good side of her. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, I bring out the good in people. I mean, you're like an exception to that, but
my son thinks your name is Batana.
Oh,
he's like, are you?
He's right at the point where he's gonna start picking it up, but he can call me Miss B. So.
Everybody, like, I'm Mr. Ben everywhere. So you'll be Miss Batavia.
Yeah. So sweet.
He's like, are you doing your radio show?
Wait, say it again. With what? With Batana?
He's like, are you talking to Miss Batana doing your radio show? And I was like, you mean podcast? He's like, yeah, the radio show. I was like, yeah. He was like, tell her I said hi. So
look, 6 or 60. We're wasting our time trying to say it's not a radio show.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
But And so one of the other things that really is starting to please me is my decision to move the wood mulch from my garden into my flower beds. That is starting to please me very fast. So
I'm glad to hear that, because that was a big thing, right? It was an investment, and I
wasn't going
appreciate
to throw it away.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying, all right, there's another way here, because it didn't quite work out the way you wanted it for your vegetable garden.
It didn't work out because of the way I grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and the jury's out on the roly-polies, so.
For those listening, we've mentioned this before, so I listened back to the episodes because I love listening to us. And I listened to you. I can't remember which episode, but it's one that it's going to have already aired. And you are again talking about you're not convinced with the roly-polies. And in the moment, I was like offended, like, damn it. I've told you once, twice, 3 times a lady.
But I can't.
I need one of those.
I can't drink the Kool-Aid until I see it.
Wait, it's like what's the time lapse? Like I need to set up a video camera, like in my yard, watching it overnight, sending you the evidence, Yeah,
if you show me like hard proof in your garden that it was definitely a roly-poly, then I'll put the Kool-Aid in the cup. But right now I'm not convinced because they're everybody's loving animal.
I need you to provide some alternative before we continue this nonsense, right? Because you just can't say it ain't the roly-polies and then offer nothing up. So.
Well, okay. What damage does a roly-poly do?
I've already told you what it does. It eats young things. Plants only, though, not like people.
But so what does it do though? What does the damage look like?
No, I'm not doing this with you. Like I've gone over this with you. I've shown you evidence of this is what the ceiling looked like yesterday. This is what it looked like after a night hanging out with the roly-polies, right? You're basically trying to get me to give you answers to combat the whole roly-poly gate.
Roly-poly gate.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's a thing. And I'm just not. And for the record, when I say you've got me animated, man. For the record, when I say
you are animated,
I need you to give me some alternative. I only want that to be able to validate an argument from you. Period. It's not changing my mind. I am just saying if you want to continue to make the argument that it's not them, for me to allow that to happen, I need something more from you. Those are the new rules.
You're just trying to get me worked up. So, just to be clear, right now I do have an issue with things chewing on my cauliflower and Brussels sprouts. Can't find it. Not convinced that it's a roly-poly, spraying for it. And I've got something that is literally shredded the leaves of my green beans. And I see poop everywhere, but I don't see an animal anywhere. And
I don't think that roly-polies are the only things that eat the young things.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, we're going to move on from roly-polies because I just don't want to talk about roly-polies.
Yeah. Well,
that's
what happens when you have a weak argument. Okay, so how about...
that's terrible.
How about we do a twist here? And I think it's your go. So the new question is, what made you happy for me about my summer garden? And I'll do the same for you.
What made me happy for you? Mm-hmm. I haven't even thought about your garden all summer, so I don't know. I'm joking. That was so mean. I
know that it's nowhere near the truth, right? Because between the fart videos, right? You're sending me suggestions and tips and.
No, for me and your garden, it wasn't actually things that made me happy. It was things that made me proud of you. It was stuff you did. And the biggest one is the fact that you took a stand against Instagram's favorite vegetable and you put it out there. And I love that. I totally love it. Cucamelons suck.
Oh,
and
man.
I love it.
I can't be anything but myself with that one.
Well, no. And here's the thing. So first of all, you grew them successfully. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like you were like, these things didn't grow and they suck. You were just like, these things taste like shit. You know, either I'm drunk or I have coronavirus and can't taste anything.
Look, every morning during my walk, when I taste them, I must be,
Yeah. But, no, and that and your cage baby made me really happy too for you because I know that you've had a lot of issues with squirrels. So I was really happy for you. And I saw, you know, the tomato harvest you got was amazing.
Yeah, so. Man. And we'll circle back around to that. Yeah. That made me happy too.
Yeah.
I
hope so.
I think for you, in general, your perseverance, like you're staying at it, you're saying what you mean, meaning what you say. The times I've seen you replant things in your garden, like over the course of this year, and then getting to the point where it's like, look at this harvest, right? Yeah. So I think butternut squash is obviously an easy one because it's like, WTF, really? But I think the idea of you being true to being a gardener that really is growing food for his family, right? You know, and so I love that you're able to try a couple of new things, but, you know, at the end of the day, you're staying true to what we're going to put in our bellies. So when you had things like, all right, tomato trouble, but guess what? I'm going to try to remedy it, you know, right? Yeah. I'm going to use the tools that I have and, you know, try to apply them here. It's easy for me to say the flowers, right? Because it makes me happy and it makes you happy. You know, that's kind of a throwaway. That's a given. But I think that if I had to name one thing, your openness, and I won't say newfound openness, but your openness to try new things and really give it a shot, like square foot gardening. While you were reluctant and still are, you gave it like a real try, right? And so it's easy to try something and then just toss it and say, didn't really work out. And it's like, well, did you really try?
And I won't toss it. I won't toss it. I'm gonna throw it in the dumpster and smash it and burn it and crush it and send it to the landfill for summer. But for spring, I'm not going to stop it. You know, I have made my decision, and I do appreciate it because that was a big step, man, to do that. That was like, you know, to change the way you've done something for, you know, over a decade is really difficult. And I want to do it again next year. I want to change what I do next year. I don't want to plant in rows next year. I want to plant in groups, and I've never done that. I've never really planted in groups that much. So, you know, like I want to put my tomatoes in groups and stuff like that. So
is that from a placement, or you're basically saying this in this section, I'm going to plant most of my tomatoes when you say groups?
And a placement. So like instead of going across the row, I want to do like maybe a triangle of tomatoes or something. I don't know. You know, I got to really look at it and see though for harvesting what makes, because, you know, the back of my beds, they both have trellises. So that ends that excludes a point of entry to harvest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I actually have a lesson learned around that. So we'll talk about that in a future episode. But the planting, you know, in rows and specifically the placement of some of the bigger veggies. So yeah.
Yeah. But you know what? It's time for the recipe of the day. This episode is proudly brought to you by San Diego Seed Company, a company that is dedicated to providing organic heirloom varieties of seeds for your small urban farm. That's right, you heard me. You are a small urban farmer. You provide food for your family and share with your neighbors, and they are dedicated to providing you with the best seeds for a bountiful harvest. Check them out at SanDiegoSeedCompany.com or on social media at, you guessed it, San Diego Seed Company. I'm having an issue. I have a recipe that I want to give for fruit, but I also have a vegetable recipe.
Oh. And they can't be combined into one meal?
I mean, you could. How about this? Do you want No, you know what? I'm just gonna give a vegetable recipe. I don't even care.
No, I want the fruit recipe.
Damn it.
Yep.
Why? Okay.
The last episode I listened to, you were like, I'm going with fruit until I can't go no more. You still got a fruit recipe in you. Yeah.
I'm getting close, man. I'm getting close. I'm burnt out on it. But okay. I'm going to do it. So this is something that my wife made a couple weeks ago now. Mm-hmm. And it's, in the fall, you usually get another, you can go to the store and get more strawberries. Mm-hmm. Because I think California, they start coming back out in the fall. You get like a brief period. So we are going to do a strawberry drink.
Oh, okay.
With it today. Okay.
All right. See, I'm so glad I demanded this for us. Aren't you guys glad?
Yeah. I don't hear anybody saying anything, so we'll see.
I'm nodding too, like we're looking at each other like, yeah, we're glad.
Yeah. So what she did is she took strawberries, and they're very ripe strawberries. Mm-hmm. And you slice them up, and you just heat them up just a little bit so they get real soft, and then grind them up into like we had like a metal sieve, and you just get all the juice out of them as much as you can, and you mix them in water, and then you mix lime juice. So you take we made a big batch, like a big jug of it. Yeah. I think we took 5 pounds of strawberries and 1 lime, mixed it up. And then we added some Sprite to it to give it a little bit of boom, and then mixed it all up. And what we do now is we go out to your garden, and you go out to the very end of your garden, very end of it, wherever this crop might be not growing anymore. For you, you might have to go to Kansas to harvest it because it takes over so much. Do we know what it is?
Of course we do. MINT, mint for me. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you take your mint, and you get mint, and you don't mix it into the vat. Mm-hmm. But what you do is you take the leaves and you cut them, and you put them in your hand, in the palm of your hand, and you smack them. And then you mix those into your cup, and that will release some of the oils in it and give you a nice flavor. Okay. So it's really simple. It's just strawberries, Sprite, lime, and some water. And she actually put sugar in it, but I put stevia in mine because I don't eat sugar really. Mm-hmm. And, if you need more bite, or you could mix honey or agave nectar or whatever you want to do and just mix it up. And if you're going to store it for a while, I would not mix the Sprite in it because, it'll go flat and yeah. So, but when you mix the strawberries with the water, you don't want it to be super watery if you're going to use Sprite. You either want it to be like a thick, concentrated paste, or you could just forego the Sprite completely and have just a refreshing strawberry drink, which I actually prefer that more. But some people really like the carbonation. So it's pretty simple. I don't even know if it's got a name, to be honest. We're going to call it Strawberry Lime Drink.
Put it on a t-shirt.
That's original.
Okay, I can dig it.
The thing is the mint. It's trying to find different ways to use mint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. I think that the idea of mint still going strong and how much it produces and ways that you can fold it in, it's always going to be a benefit. So that's always going to be a winner when it comes to the recipes.
I can tell you how to use your mint, all of it.
Okay.
Do you want a bonus?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Go out to your garden and cut the entire thing down, all of it, every single piece, and hang it up and dry it. Take it, flip it upside down when it's dry, scrape the leaves off, stick it into a like a coffee grinder or something, grind it up, and you've got mint tea.
Well, I mean, I knew about that one. I thought you were gonna,
no,
take me to the moon here. Yeah.
Well, the reason, no, there is no moon with mint. But the reason why I bring that up is because a lot of people that I know don't realize that you can make these huge batches of it and dry it and keep it for, indefinite. So, but that's it. Just make
just
tea
put it
out
in
of
something airtight and you're good to go. And if you know people, your family, your friends, that could be a nice little treat for a holiday present, birthday present, Christmas, just stuff it in, stocking stuffer almost, right? A little bit of fresh, dried mint.
Yeah, we do that. We actually get tea bags, empty tea bags, and pack them ourselves and staple them shut.
Yeah.
And so we've done that many times.
Yeah, that's cool.
We might actually be due for that this year because we got a buttload of mint.
No.
But,
all right. Okay, I can dig it. All right. So you have you have 2 weeks to come up with your next fruit recipe. Now, this is an option. Now, the people can help you out here. You can send us a note. I don't want no damn help. Yeah, no. You almost folded it like 6 minutes ago. You almost buckled, and here you are. I know what you all are thinking. You're thinking classic man, but I'm not going to go there. Okay.
No, there's no directions. I read the directions. We're good. We're good. No, I mean, seriously, like, I enjoy fruit, but the truth of the matter is I enjoy fruit by itself raw.
Yeah. Me too.
You know what I mean? Like, that's really how I enjoy it. So, like, all these, like, fruit recipes, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. It's been wearing on me because I feel like I'm giving out weak recipes. And No, because, like, I literally, like, mango. I like to cut a mango and eat a mango. There is no way I use mango for anything else because it's so damn delicious that I just, and it's like watermelon. Like, it's the nectar of the gods. You know what I mean? Man. It's, it's something to be said about it. So,
well, listen,
maybe I'm going to go back to...
You signed up for this. No one asked you for fruit recipes. It was your creation. You can
So I can quit when I want.
Yeah, you can opt out at any point. There could be thousands of people that are disappointed. But hey, listen, this is life. You don't get everything you want in life.
Hey, look. Yeah. Well, now I feel guilty as guilty can be.
It's all good.
I might persevere in my garden, but I will quit on these fruit recipes. So, and I realized last time too that I gave out 2 versions of the same recipe every time. So
2 different versions, though. I mean,
like I kind of like tweaked it a little bit, and after I said, I was like, wait a second, I think I gave that out before.
Oh, I just realized I told the same story literally 2 episodes in a row. So, I mean, listen, again, we're not perfect.
Oh, did you really? What story?
What story? It's the story about the third time, people. Third time's the charm. It's the story about the woman, the fellow gardener online that's like, I can't believe you're harvesting tomatoes in August. And I'm like, I'm trying to, each time I say, I'm trying to figure out what zone she's in. And neither week I figured it out. But yeah, anyway.
You need to figure it out.
I mean, third time now, but we'll never talk about this again.
Oh, yeah, we will.
And I'll still not know.
No. So, Is there anything else that really made you happy, about yours or my garden, vice versa? Yeah,
so I'm going to do the thing that's obvious here, that shame on you for not doing it first. So that's the whole lead in. This podcast has made me so happy this summer. Right.
Really?
So, yeah, absolutely. It has. Even the stress of some of the technical things that we had to go through. Even that aside, it's been a great joy for me to talk garden things with you. And we really got into the thick of it this summer. So yeah,
we did. And you think we got into the thick of it this summer? Wait for winter.
Well, you know what though? I felt like, at least on my end, I was able to maintain my garden because that was a little bit of a concern, right? Yeah. So we really enjoy it. We love doing this and love you guys. There's a time, I intentionally didn't put but, there's a time commitment to this, and the thick of the summer, it's like, oh wait, hold on, So I feel really good
There
about
were some
touch and go
There
moments.
were some days, there were some days that I was like, damn, I could be doing something else. But, but the thing is as the conversations unfolded, I learned a lot, and getting another perspective from somebody, it's like you can jump on forums and Instagram and Facebook and all these places and you can definitely get ideas, but to like sit down and talk to another gardener like intensively for 90 minutes once a week. And that's just on the air. That's not to mention all the other conversations we have.
Lord knows, yeah.
Because for the record, I talk to Batavia almost every day. It's, I learned a lot, and gardening is a very independent, quiet hobby, lifestyle or hobby, whatever you want to call it. So to have somebody that you can communicate with and know that there's people listening that find value in it has made me extremely happy as well. Yeah. Because I feel that all these years of learning and failing and trying and failing and failing and failing and trying and learning and succeeding finally has kind of led to this point to where we can share our knowledge collectively. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's so important to realize is like, a lot of the stuff that we talk about stuff that's in theory, but luckily between the both of us, we've tried a lot of it. So, and just because it doesn't work for us doesn't mean it won't work for you.
Exactly. And I think there's a level of encouragement when it comes to, even for the best plan. I mean, literally in these first episodes coming out, in October, there are things that have we've talked about that have influenced what I'm going to do over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Right. Yeah. So that's significant. I mean, it's we're impacting gardens right here at home. And like you said, it's a solo sport, if you will. So being able to, and I enjoy a part of it where I can get in outside, dig in the dirt by myself. Like I enjoy that piece of it. But at some point my head gets full of garden things, and it's nice to be able to, throw those things up in a conversation with you on hour 2 or 3. So, yeah. Good stuff, man.
I agree with you. And I'm going to go ahead and announce it. And the schedule's not made up yet, but this winter, we are going to break down plants intensively for everybody. So we're going to start with the first things you can grow, and we're going to go as far as we can until the season starts. And we're just going to break down plants, plant profiles, companions, pests, experiences, all that stuff. So I'm super excited about that because one, I'm going to learn a lot about it myself. Yeah. And I'm going to probably learn some things that I thought were correct. And the companion planting part, I'm having an issue with right now, by the way. I'm going to learn a lot about that too. So
yeah, and I think the timing of it really works well because it can help influence and inform our decisions as we come into the spring and into the summer. Right. So, this is really by design as it relates to when we cover off on this. I'm looking forward to it. I kind of envision it as a library of sorts, when it comes to some popular plants, some not so popular plants, everything in between. So we won't be covering cucamelons. So I'm going to tell you that right now.
No. I mean, you can. You're going to be talking about it. I'm not talking about it. So. But yeah, that's the plan. And, if there's a plant or vegetable, a fruit in particular that you want us to talk about, then reach out to us on Backyard Gardens Pod on Instagram or on Twitter at, what is it? At Gardens Podcast. And let us know what you're interested in. Because we would love to have your input. And, again, if you have a question, somebody else probably has a question about it. But we're going to go as far as we can and see what happens with that. But, I think that's a good use of the winter. because that's my theory. And in the newsletter, I put that, like, start studying, start learning what you want to do. You know, knowledge is power. And the more we know about what we're growing, the better off we are.
Yeah, it's a lot more productive for your garden if you have some of these answers and knowledge going into the garden season versus trying to figure it all out as you go. There's some pieces that I still figure out as I go. So that's fine. That's human. That's natural. But there's some things that you have an advantage of coming into the garden season. So absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you know what else made me really happy? The amount of first-time gardeners that reached out this year to me and shared their harvest and their experiences with me was, and their excitement was just amazing, completely amazing. So I had never expected that to be the case, and for people to do that was just. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So I love watching the joy people have. My man, Howie, love you, man. When you got that radish and your wife made that soup, I got to tell you, man, that made my whole year. Yeah, that man made my whole year.
I totally remember that too. Yeah. I'm actually going to be planting radishes. So I'm hoping maybe I may need to ask for that recipe.
I was so impressed by the way it looked. If his profile wasn't private, I would have shared it every day for the rest of the year in my stories, just so people could see, like, what a small harvest, what you can turn it into, and the joy it brought somebody.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just amazing. So, yeah. So, overall, I'm happy with the summer. I had a lot of the hurricane that came early in the year, which is early for us, it really screwed me up and put me in a bad spot. But, you know, moving forward, I still got fall to look forward to. I got some tweaking to do for next year and got a lot of studying to do for this winter. So I'm happy about it. You know, if I close my eyes and think about it, all the fails definitely sink below the wins.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the wins are just so much higher.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have a lot of W's in the win column. So I'm super duper pleased with the summer. And to be quite frank, that absolutely influences the kind of spirit you go into fall with. You know, that's just again, it's a reality. In most cases, if we have some win, some success, it's encouraging to take us to that next step, which for me is a fall garden. So yeah, man. I
mean, yeah. This was a good, positive podcast.
Overall, or just this one episode is positive? Are we focusing on negativity in all other cases?
There'll be a negative one coming up, I'm sure.
No, I mean, I think it's a good time. Because what I also do, I think we've talked about this, you and I, one-on-one, a part of this episode also is to encourage people to go back to thinking, all right, it's fall now. What did you enjoy about your summer garden, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, don't dread the winter so much, but think about that and, you know, try and grow and be happy and enjoy what you've done. Because let's face it, you've taken something that a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of gardeners, but there's a lot of people that don't do it, and you've done it. You've grown food to eat. You've grown nutritious food. And that's something special that, you know, to be said. So
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. I don't understand what hear, hear means, by the way, but that's okay.
Well, yeah, I have to look it up every time I type it so I can get the spelling right.
Is it John H-E-R-E, H-E-R-E?
It's H-E-A-R. H-E-A-R. As in...
Oh, I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No, here. I'm dropping that knowledge, man.
Dropping that knowledge bomb. Boom. So, yeah, everybody, send us your questions so we can help other people. Let us know if there's a plant profile that you want us to talk about. Hell, let us know if you want me to keep doing fruit recipes or if you want me to get back to the good old vegetable. Because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, wintertime would be tough to go through with fruit because I don't know any orange recipes.
So I'm going to speak to the 15,000 folks that have listened to this and say, no one expects you or expected you to give fruit recipes for the rest of our podcast career. No one. We don't want it.
Oh, you know what though? In all seriousness, it would be a good aspect if I could like come up with solid fruit and I could be like the fruit guy. You know what? It would bring like a good dynamic to us. Like you're the vegetable girl, I'm the fruit guy, but I'm not going to do it.
That could have been reverse psychology. Like, no one wanted you to do it. You really want to do it, don't you? You really want to do it, don't you?
No, I don't fall for reverse psychology.
We'll see. You know, he's going to be like giving us fruit recipes for the rest of our podcast career.
Gosh, you guys would starve to death. Nobody wants to make those recipes. Have you tried the watermelon pizza yet?
No, but I do have. We're not going through this. I'm not going to cut the watermelon on air. I'm not going to add an avocado to it on air, but thanks for reminding me of it. That watermelon, I let it rot. So it was a watermelon I didn't grow, but I bought. Craziness. I got so distracted with my, garden melons.
Why did you buy one?
Because it was so early in the season that there was no way my plants were going to produce a watermelon.
Oh, okay.
Additionally, my plants have not produced a watermelon, which again is another conversation. Throw it away.
Yeah. We're going to have a show about that at some point. Yeah, what's the next show, Batavia? Give us something to look forward to.
So next up, I don't know if it's something to look forward to, but it is a real need. It's putting the garden to bed for the winter. And listen, we're going to be in October talking about this, but we want to make sure, especially for those folks that are in the lower zones that get colder sooner, that you have some time to kind of consider what you want to do, what you're willing to do. Yeah. So tune in for it. It's helped me these last couple of years, so highly recommend it, and we'll talk more about it.
Well, we'll talk about fall, too, in there as well.
And fruit.
No. But, in all seriousness, like, you can talk about putting it to bed in the winter, but you also need to talk about fall, too, because that episode will come out. You won't even be in your frost date yet, so technically it'd be fall for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that we can look at it as putting your garden to bed for the season. So for folks that aren't doing a fall garden, again, it's going to be applying to them. What are you doing to kind of close out that garden season? So yeah.
And actually, I do have one last question for you.
Yeah.
What is the name of your farm?
Be Better Gardens.
Have you named your farm yet?
Yeah. Be Better Garden?
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Why would it be something different?
I was just wondering.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know if you named it yet.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to name it.
Yeah, of course. How will people know what to put in their Google map when they come to visit?
Yeah. Mine is, I named mine in July. Mm-hmm. It's Sandy Bottom Farm.
Yeah.
Because there's so much sand in the soil here, it's ridiculous, which is why my sweet potatoes are happy.
That's the new construction, though, right? From a few years back. Isn't that why it's so sandy? Or is that a North Carolina thing?
Yeah, it's a North Carolina thing. It's not, so this area is known for blueberries and sweet potatoes. Mm-hmm. And they both love sandy soil. Yeah. And so when I go out there and I dig, it's like mostly sand, which is why I don't have a lot of nutrients in that one bed. Yeah. So
and even the soil that you brought in, it's still basically competing with that native soil, which is sandy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So next show, I'm gonna give a sweet potato update. I can't even I'm actually losing sleep over it. Between that and the greenhouse. I'm not sleeping much anymore. Aww. And then as soon as we hang up from the next episode, I'm gonna start building the greenhouse. So.
Oh, I can't wait. I need I don't want daily updates. That's a little bit too much pressure, but I want to know as it's going along.
It's gonna be built in 2 days. I'll stay up all night and build it. I'm not gonna drag it out. So
okay. Well, God bless you.
It's gonna be a trying process. My dad's like, I want to help you build it.
I thought you guys are gonna do it together, right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. It could be 3 generations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're excited about that. So
it's going to be a bloodbath.
As a note, I did. I pulled a couple of sweet potatoes out. You know the whole. Let's see what size they are, and so yeah, I at least have like one sweet potato worth of sweet potatoes.
That's it.
Well, out of the ones I pulled out, I pulled one out of one container, which were the 100-dayers, and then I pulled a couple out because they are super duper small out of the Home Depot sweet potatoes. Because remember, I didn't know what type they were, so I don't really know what the recommended time frame. But I'm gonna leave them in there a while longer.
Did you plant yours the same time as me?
I think we both were on. No, maybe I planted mine a little bit earlier because you were on the hunt for slips.
Yeah.
I planted mine around June the 12th. Is when I planted
I think that's
mine.
about when I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did mine around then.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll both have a sweet potato
see.
update. Let's just say that.
Let's do it. Sweet potato update next week.
Until then. Yeah.
Hands in. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your gardening season. Enjoy fall, and think about the good things that you did in your garden this year. Don't worry about the losses. Just think about the wins. And check us out next week as we talk about, I forgot already, putting your garden to bed. Mm-hmm. Do it, Batavia.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to us today. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can find us at Backyard Gardens Pod, and we share gardening tips and clips from the show, and we would love to see your gardens and share them with everybody. So if you want to join us and you want to share your gardens, feel free to use the hashtag BYG Podcast. And if you want to see us on video, you can find us on YouTube at Backyard Gardens, where we have the full show and clips and all the recipes broken down for you. And until next time, learn to grow and grow for change, and we're going to call it a wrap.
Now you know why people feel like celebrating at harvest time.
All over the world, people have feasting and good times when the crops have been gathered in.